What up? Today I'm going to be doing a reaction video to Chris Chan's Comprehensive History Part 5. Starting this bitch with a smoothie. Let's get into the thick of it.
What is the attraction?
It's what we plague ourselves with every time we watch this.
This is the story of Chris Chan.
Like, where is he looking, bro? That's what I always wonder. Like, what's he thinking
Less than a
about
week
in that
after
picture?
Christian's Encyclopedia Dramatica page was created, someone updated it by uploading an infamous internet-based photograph called Goatsy. It graphically depicts a naked man stretching his anus with his fingers snugly within his rectum, dilating his orifice to an inhumane diameter. This upset Chris so gravely that he took it upon himself to edit the page to make himself appear more appealing. For example,
It's
a
too
paragraph
late.
noting his racism was changed to, "Oh yeah, he's also old-fashioned. In his idea of a sweetheart, she's not black. He's cool with adoption, but his dream of his future daughter
Whoa! He edited his own page and then thought that this is, like, am I correct to think that this is what he wrote?
calls for blood, tears, and seminal descent." Not only did he reword sentences and correct historical inaccuracies, but he also extensively added personal information, a tactic which he called information overload. While his intention was to evoke sympathy, it only succeeded in fueling the fire for the trolls. In a way to
I mean, obviously.
reassert his heterosexuality, he uploaded several of his own sexually charged drawings, such as one of Sonichu and Rosechu having intercourse, a naked
I mean, this is not how you fight the trolls, like...
Merrily Walsh masturbating, Bubbles
Mary Walsh, did she see this?
Sonichu having sex,
She must
and an
have.
image called She Came for Quick, which depicted Chris satisfying an unidentified naked woman with his fingers.
She came for the quick! Hell nah! Wow, that's the best porn name I've ever heard.
Those exposed to the picture felt that the woman bore a striking resemblance to his twin sister Crystal, and were convinced that it was an illustration of incest. The fact that he captioned the image with, "Your sister has come for me," didn't help.
What? No! No, Chris. At least it's not Megan Schroeder.
Outside of his illustrations, he reflected on his obsession with Megan, admitting that he no longer pined for her, and talked about pleasuring himself using his inflatable sex doll, Officer
Why would he tell her this? Why would...
Nasty. He restated his purpose. "I will continue to shove the true facts from my heart and soul down your throats, only until you take this whole page down for good." Chris would go on creating new accounts and further altering the page for the next few years. As the year 2007 drew to a close, Christian bought an anime-styled sex doll named Kimmy, and continued to email Megan, telling her that he would meet Lori soon. And on New Year's Eve, he sent an email to a friend of Megan.
Why would you tell this to a... And she's not... She's just freshly 18. You're just telling this, and she's totally already uncomfortable with you.
Which contained a new freestyle poem called "For My True Love, I Would. For my true love, I treat her tenderly, sweetly, gently, like a summer breeze. I'd caress her skin gently with my strong fingers. I'd take her to eat and provide for her to my ability. I'd start
small at McDonald's. Would it get better than McDonald's, Chris? Would it really?
small at McDonald's, then let it get better in due time. If she is willing to allow the pleasure, I'd lay her down, caress her gently, tickle her fancy, have her tickle my fancy, and give it to her
The
with
fuck?
the only experience I've endured.
Will you tickle my fancy, bitch? But I digress. Most importantly, I would hang on to every word of her life tales or feelings.
I love you will be shared daily with a French side dish. I am her soldier, to do for her as she sees fit. In January 2000,
He is the soldier of love. Hell nah, and he's posing next to a
Christian
Beamer.
created a Facebook account, which she used much in the same manner as his other social media outlets, such as
Whose
MySpace.
Beamer is
He
that?
managed to befriend several women in his general vicinity and tried to engage in conversations with them. Hi, Christina. I have read your profile and I find you quite interesting. You're pretty, honest, and smart. If you'd
How do you
like,
know
I'd like
that?
to meet you for a soda or coffee and get to know you better over a pleasant conversation. I also hope you will accept my friend request I have submitted earlier.
He sounds almost like those Indian dudes that are like, please send vagina, please, or whatever.
Please reply if it's all cool. Okay, well, I'm 17 and about to be 18 in a few months. But yeah, I love to party and all that good shit, so hit me up.
About to
Cool,
be
Christina.
18 in a
While I
few
don't
months,
know what
he's
it means to
like
hit
too
me up,
old.
I'll assume it means to talk to you more. I look forward to meeting you in person and learning more about you. And if you need a tutor for a school subject, I can probably help you. I've excelled in math and
No, this is literally grooming. This is wrong.
English subjects. Yo tom apostrophe a dos años de español
He's speaking Spanish to this
and I
bitch?
took 2 years of Spanish in my high school. Take care, Chris Chan. Okay, yeah, well, here's the thing. First of all, I'm 17 and
Another
too
thing
old.
while I'm thinking about, please accept my friend request.
And second
Okay,
of
yeah.
all, no, or too old for me. And third of all,
Hell no. First of all, I'm 17. Like, she's obviously within her right
not
mind.
into all that Christian shit, but I would still love to be friends with
Not
you.
within
And I
that
don't know very
Christian
many
shit.
Christians who like to party, cause I'm a hardcore party girl. So, no, nothing like what you may be thinking. I just wanted to be friends with you. I'd wait until you
I'd
were at
wait,
least
you
18
know.
before taking it further. Also, I can party. I just don't get invited much.
I wonder
There's nothing wrong
why.
with simply meeting for a pleasant conversation and soda pop.
This
I
is
promise I
like
will
an
not lay a
innocent
finger
soda
on you.
pop.
Okay, well, a little FYI, I'm on probation and house arrest, and I might get locked up tomorrow for breaking my probation. So let's just take it day by day. I mean, I don't know Ooh at all, and people might talk about me hanging with some older dude who I don't know. But I do hang at DQ, Dairy Queen, every day after school. So drop by and see if
Please
you can find me.
don't.
Holla, boy. After Christian sent another message divulging more details about himself,
Damn, that is a long ass fucking thing.
communication with Christina ceased. He also engaged in a chat with Christy, who accepted his invitation
wonder
for a chat
why.
over coffee or soda, but he ultimately declined her acceptance when she revealed that she was a single mother. He also
He says
messaged a
no,
Danielle, whose
no,
boyfriend in response
no.
threatened Chris.
Hey man, just wanna warn you, you need to leave Danielle alone, she doesn't like you. Well, that was uncalled for. My heart sweet was in pain enough without the Why doesn't Danielle like
On
me?
January 20th, Christian pleaded on Facebook.
I am a good man. There are some cyberbullies who have taken my words and feelings out of context. Like, sure, I was hitting up 17-year-olds and waiting till they turn 18, but, you know, that's besides the point.
People not to believe what has been written on Encyclopedia Dramatica. There are some cyberbullies who have taken my words and feelings out of context and twisted them into meaningless mockery. Please do not believe those terrible rumors. I am a good man who needs a female sweetheart to soothe my pains from loneliness, stress from social influences, and heartache. Please help me. I can help you
Please.
one day.
Nigga, how are you gonna help
He
me?
described his near encounter with a lady at the Alderman Library. I was playing Sudoku on my PSP, and I was listening in on this conversation between a couple of cute ladies just to my right. I've enjoyed just listening to them talk about their things. I will not divulge any details.
He is
because I am the
creepy.
man who will keep a secret. Plus,
What?
I don't know all the details.
Shh,
Anyway,
it's a secret
after one
between
of the two
all of
left,
us.
the gal that stayed sitting next to me talked on her cell in what sounded like Dutch or German. It was the perfect opening for a conversation towards making a new gal pal. I had it in my head. Pardon me, I couldn't help but overhear you chat on your phone. But was that Dutch or German you were speaking?
Basically
I had the nerve set up.
soften them
I was
up.
raring to say it, but when I started to say it, the tension and my shyness and my autism
And my autism
I could not even
choked
open my
me.
mouth to say anything, and she left. I'm kicking myself now. Anyway, that is how shy I am. I'm so shy that I just freeze or choke upon starting to talk to a new girl I don't know yet. Through his Facebook updates, it was revealed that he regularly attended Grace Baptist Church in Charlottesville. Since Chris was told that Lori Lopez was going to go out with Joshua Martinez instead of Chris, he edited the ED page in order to convince the trolls to ruin Joshua's reputation instead.
Yeah, fuck
Look,
Joshua
pal, if you really want
Wise.
to take down someone who has a reputation, consider one Joshua Martinez. Ladies come a-running from at least as far as New York City to his house in Dyke, Virginia. Not just any ladies, but stars like Megan Fox, Jessica Alba, Jessica
What?
Biel, Jessica Simpson, and plenty other whores. He also has been piggybacking on the stardom of Vanessa Hudgens, singing with her in her Latino albums, and starring with her in various HBO movies, and even worse, Transformers 2. He has her and some other gal named Brittany for both of his simultaneous girlfriends. Dual marriage in the works here. He's a more lucky SOB than I can ever surmount to. His reputation, Joshua Martinez. P.S. You did not hear this whole thing from me. The editors of the page didn't bite.
Nah,
In
why
March,
wouldn't they?
becoming increasingly troubled at all the attention Chris has been receiving, Megan requested that he take down all references to her on the internet. However, it was too
You can't
late.
escape
She
it.
discovered that she came for quick pick and recognized the woman in it to be herself.
That's who I thought it would be, is Megan Schroeder. She came for the quick.
Confronted Chris. I didn't realize how much of an a-hole I could have been. I was caught up in the rage from that weekend in November when I did that. I couldn't even see straight. I had done what I should have done.
Who cares if I drew a character of me fucking you? Like, what is that? You know, like, what's wrong with, you know, it was the rage, my
Long ago,
autism.
inform AOL, as well as other places on the web who can take down offensive websites and pages. I've really shot myself in the foot, and I am sorry. Not only am I mad at myself for being such a complete enraged a-hole, but my rage against those jerks who put that page up in the first place arose with greater flame because my closest friend got hurt emotionally. That's you.
That's because
I will
of
see to
you,
that
not,
website's
like,
demise,
what?
For my name isn't Christian
He, like,
Winston.
did this whole mental gymnastics thing and flipped it around to where it's like, no, it's not me. It's because of the trolls that made me this way. And it's like, bro, you took the time out of your day to draw this.
Chandler. Megan, I'm sorry for hurting you. Megan, I'm sorry for hurting you.
Megan,
Megan,
I'm sorry for hurting you.
Megan.
I'm sorry for hurting
Thinking that
you.
repeating that phrase was enough recompense for Megan, his next email focused on his investigation on who took the picture of him at the game place, launching this entire campaign of hate against him. In response, Megan
It's a
wrote about her shock concerning her
campaign.
depiction. I'm very much scarred by that image, and it will never leave me. And I can't decide what's worse, the image in general, or the fact you intentionally drew it and gave it to the webmaster for that site that you hate so much. Not only have you poured gas on the fire by doing that, adding obscenity to the already horrific site, but you have also embarrassed and humiliated me, and degraded and demeaned me, whether you realize it or not. Okay, well look, I'm not sure how I feel and what to do, so here's what I think. I'd like for you to just completely leave me alone for a while, until I can sort things out myself. You understand? It's not like I hate you, but I don't see you in the same light anymore. So just leave me be for a while.
You should have just
Let me
did
try
this
to
in the
recuperate
first
with my
place.
few other friends. And maybe we can just start from scratch sometime. Maybe, I don't know. Just depends on how I feel, okay?
Megan,
So please,
Megan,
let me
Megan.
be, and let me see how it goes, okay?
Get out of
Completely
that
misunderstanding
jam.
her point. Chris thought that the drawing upset her so because she was naive about sex and didn't truly understand what
No,
was being
this is
depicted,
so.
ironically
This is
revealing
not
his own
reading the
ignorance
room.
regarding sex. You may or may not have had much exposure to sexual images as I've had, so the idea of a hand job, which was the act drawn there on the outercourse versus intercourse, was a surprise to you. I'm sorry. If it helps put things into perspective, I can recommend finding information on the internet through this educational website I found through AdamEve.com. Or I
No,
recommend renting The 40-Year-Old Virgin.
no,
We took
what?
some of the
The 40-year-old virgin? Like, what the fuck, bro?
issues around sex and how it can really frustrate an older virgin who hasn't had the pleasure yet. Or I can loan you my copy of The 40-Year-Old Virgin.
He has a signed copy of the 40-year-old virgin. Just, you know, it's up on a mantle because it's like the most relatable movie in his
The point
life.
is, allowing yourself more exposure to sex acts to make yourself feel more comfortable with that fact of life. In addition, he defended his actions.
I worry about you and I want to help you. Maybe I can teach you. Well, I am on the verge of taking that encyclopedia dramatic. It's only going to get worse from here. I understand that there are a number of other web pages that hate against me, and I would like to be able to track everyone down and get a report, though. Oh, wow.
As for the drawings, while I have shoved the text information down your throat in an attempt to drown them in submission, there were too many images of penises on there. I drew drawings promoting vaginas to go against those dickheads. I did the drawing of Sonichu f***ing Rose Chew. I did the drawing of Bubbles getting it from Black Sonichu. I had the idea of
I did it from Bubbles, getting it from Black Sonichu. Hell no. I had an idea of pairing them up in the comic books anyway. Like, why is this the long drawn... Like, the longer the explanation, the better, but this is not... Like, this does not hit.
them up in the comic book anyway.
And
The drawings...
and Mary Lee Walsh defacing that old poor woman, like... Oh my god.
And Mary Lee Walsh, that witch hag, masturbating. And I did draw the drawing of me giving you a hand job from among my adult fantasies, with your eyes censored to conceal your identity.
Hell no, but you still drew it, like,
It was a massive step outside of my boundaries, and I did it out of anger, and I regret having done it, and I'm really, really sorry. But we all do things in the heat of anger, and or out of our boundaries, that we end up regretting later.
No, we don't all do
all
that.
references to Megan from the ED page, including replacing the lewd drawing of her with a close-up of her groin. By Christian's reasoning, this succeeded in masking the true identity of the woman in question, even though everyone apart from Chris and Megan still assumed to be his hypothetical sister.
Still later to be his alter ego,
To upload
Christine.
the cover of his fictitious PlayStation game, Christian Weston Chandler's Adult Chronicles. Megan understandably took issue with his latest development. Okay. So instead of removing that one completely, you just enlarged my crotch. Thanks a lot. Why didn't you just remove it? Well, I'm sorry, but that just makes me more angry.
Like,
It's
come
not that
on.
actual sex act that traumatizes me. It's the fact that you fantasize doing such things to me when you know I would never. It's like, how do I know you're not going to abduct me and such? That was a
That's a good
figure of
point.
speech. You know what I mean? It creeps me out if you have such thoughts about me. It's like you're stalking me, so you really need to back off. P.S. I think it's rather amusing how you complain of these people defiling you. Yes, many posts are ridiculous, but you have defiled Mary Lee Walsh and our wonderful security officers, who are simply doing their job. Then you defiled me and lied about it. You need to stop with this mindset that the whole world is against you and start taking some responsibility for once. Example, it's wrong to hate these people when you broke the rule by soliciting/loitering. Hey, at least they're doing their job, and I support that.
Come
In an
on.
attempt to find a resolution to the issue, Chris sent an email to the Wikimedia Foundation asking if
Oh no, he says I'm not gonna, like, do anything. This is all their fault, still.
possible for them to take down the page due to the culture of bullying it produced, only to be told that Encyclopedia Dramatica was not part of Wikimedia and thus they were helpless in the matter. Chris once again emailed Megan berating ED, upset that the authors of the page assumed that the woman was his imaginary sister, who shared the name of his imaginary daughter, and theorizing that Christian wanted to impregnate his mother so he could successfully have intercourse with his daughter, who was also his sister.
Bro, the
He also revealed that drawing that image may
foreshadowing.
have
This
in
is
fact
episode
prevented something
5.
even more heinous. As for the drawing itself, I realized that it was done not only out of inspired fantasy, angst against ED, and love for you, but also a major release for my crazy, mixed-up hormones. If I didn't have the foresight to put my pent-up frustrations and feelings in the form of something, I might have become an abusive maniac. So thank God for allowing me to release my bottled-up frustrations in a more positive, yet not so politically correct, and not
I mean,
physically
that's a
hurting
polite
others
way of
method.
saying it.
He insisted that if they ignore the webpage, the trolls would lose interest and forget about them. In the meantime, disgusted by everyone accusing him of having
If I see
incestuous
one more
desires,
frickin'
Chris made
pickle.
it explicitly clear that the woman in the drawing was in fact his friend Megan, editing the phrase, drawing pictures of himself having sex with his imaginary sister, to drawing pictures of himself
Oh
having sex with his
no!
lost sailor.
So, he thought this was better. He's just making the situation actively worse at every turn. Chris is literally like the amalgamation of every bad decision ever made, like at every turn in life.
Soldier, Megan, who dumped his sorry ass for drawing the pic of him f***ing her. She never even had any inkling of interest in him. What an intolerable, sad sack loser.
I
But
mean,
there was
yeah.
nothing more he could do to save their relationship. By the end of April, Megan had severed all ties with Chris. As a result of
Finally.
his adoration for her, he had created a veritable shrine for Megan.
Oh my
comprised
god.
of her own drawings that she gave him, figurines, pictures, and other media which were inspired by his desire for her. Over the coming years, the shrine slowly dissipated.
Well, it took a
As an
long
expression of
time though.
humility, he uploaded an image gallery called, You Know What? I Hate Me Too, onto his ED page, which comprised of a selection of images from his comics, wherein he depicted himself getting beaten up, downtrodden, and looking unflattering. What's more, the pastor at his church discovered his online activities and subsequently expelled Christian from Grace Baptist Church, but he soon found refuge in Wesley Memorial United Methodist Church. To add insult to injury, Michael Snyder, the manager of the game place, banned Chris from the store for 2 weeks, most likely due to his frequent outbursts of racism towards the African American children and the temper tantrums he threw whenever he lost.
What? He was just being blatantly racist to black kids? That's so fucked up.
Which eventually resulted in an overall drop in patronage. In May, seemingly moving on from the events of the previous 2 months, Chris uploaded a gallery of photos onto the Adult Swim message boards of his Rock Band guitar controller, which he custom painted in the theme of the cartoon character Meatwad.
I just feel like Bob and Barb probably taught him that racist shit too. Like, who else taught him it?
From the Adult Swim show, Aqua Teen Hunger Force. On May 11th, he was officially baptized at the Wesley United Methodist Church. In June, troubles with Chris at the game place escalated to the point that Michael Snyder permanently banned him from the establishment. In retaliation, Christian called over his parents, so Snyder called the police, as he was well within his rights to refuse service to anyone he saw.
And that's the problem with Bob and Barb. Instead of like being like, you fucked up, kid, they're like, you know what, we're gonna go over there and give them a piece of our mind.
After this expulsion, the only form of regular social interaction he had left were his church activities. On June 25th, Brittany, who was someone who had become aware of Christian's antics online, wrote a lengthy email addressed to him in the hopes of convincing him to change his ways and move beyond always using his autism as a crutch. In
Please.
August, Chris sent an email to someone he knew from the game place, letting him know that he had sent a letter of apology to Michael Snyder, but to no avail.
It makes no
In
difference.
early August, Christian uploaded another video addressing the trolls who were dragging his name through the mud and blamed ED for the end of his relationship with Megan, threatening to cease publication of the upcoming Sonichu issue 7 until the page was taken down. Throughout the video,
No,
he
not
uses his glasses
7.
and hands for cartoon-like theatrics to dramatically emphasize his message.
Citizens of the internet, I present an open message to each and every one of you. Y'all should know me by now, but if you don't,
I
am
don't.
Christian Weston Chandler.
He's so like
The
full of
original
himself even at
creator
this
Of
point.
Sonichu, the Electric Hedgehog Pokemon, back on March 17th, 2000. Any days earlier are void. I have a whole bunch of
7
people
days after
on
my
the
sister was
internet
born, Sonichu was too.
give me hate. Show me a lot of hate. And I do not appreciate it. Takes me off. Y'all think I'm just a sap, a chump, dumbass, whatever you may think. But you know what? You, every last one of you who has expressed hate against me, you're the shitheads.
He once again reiterates that he is not a homosexual.
You're the
Every one of you who
shitheads.
thinks I'm homo and calls me that because I am not. I'm straight. I'm straight. You're the homos.
You're the
Or is he
homos.
a pedophile?
I am not a pedophile.
I'm not.
Dorks.
He
I'm not a
expresses-
pedophile. I just hit on girls that are 17 and tell them I'm gonna wait till they turn 18. Like,
disgust for the pornographic images others have uploaded to the ED page, stating that he prefers vaginas, referring to them by the euphemism China.
The hatred I'm getting from every last one of you who has contributed to that Encyclopedia Dramatica webpage, and every other forum, internet document, lewdly drawn pictures with dicks.
He hates penises so much.
Dykes! China!
China.
If I see a dick, I
Just look away.
with a moment of being
He's just cock shame. Cock shame.
freaked out.
He confirms once and for all that the woman pictured in She Came for Quick is Megan.
And that's not my twin sister that I also want to become. That was Megan Schroeder, a girl that was just freshly
That is
18.
not Crystal, whose eyes are censored. That is Megan. And just for taking it up and twisting it around as such.
He describes his simple and wholesome wish for the future.
If I ever do find someone is to be my sweetheart, I will give her such care, such tenderness, such love. We get around to hanky-panky, that's fine. That's good. We get married.
we'll get married before we get to the hanky panky.
I will have my God called daughter.
What? You'll have your God create your God called daughter? Like, what are you gonna do that with your mom?
She will be taken care of lovingly. Those of you who mock me otherwise with such frivolous, lucrative adultery, if I ever hear any more new stuff, it will weigh on your conscience with me tearing at your souls emotionally.
What?
I'll leave you with any other thoughts that you may have. But if you dare twist these words around, that will weigh worse on your conscience. The words that I provide from sound mind and heart, it will weigh heavily on you.
What?
It will weigh heavily on you.
2 days later, the Chris Chan page was declared Article of the Now on Encyclopedia Dramatica. The following day, Chris emailed Bill O'Reilly from Fox News, Dateline NBC, and
Oh no, he messaged Bill
D9
O'Reilly
News
at
about his
Fox
conflict with
News.
Encyclopedia Dramatica, apparently for the second time. I wish to re-report the heinous webpage of worst levels of mockery against me. This webpage has been haunting me since it originated around Halloween 2007. He implicated Jason
Since
Kendrick Howell as the
Halloween.
creator of the page, declaring him the head troll and directed the majority of its hatred towards him. He also recorded another video, urging fans of Sonichu to help take down the ED page, under the impression that he had more fans than he actually did.
Attention, all Sonichu fans on the internet who do not hate me, Christian Weston Chandler. For I have an important message for y'all. If y'all would actually like me to bring up new stuff for Sonichu and conclude the stories, you could do so by having that Encyclopedia Dramatica page take it down so I can feel more comfortable in drawing and coloring the comics that y'all have grown to love.
The
If you want
fuck
to send
comments.
all your complaints for me,
I want to see
not doing
Bubbles
the work I
and
should be
Black
doing,
Sonichu.
you can send every last complaint to the one called Jason Kendrick Howe, also known as How Games or
Liquid Snake.
For he is, and I quote, in an email he sent me, the creator of the Encyclopedia Dramatica ED page for me.
He urges everyone to send their hate to Kendrick Howell.
And that's for you, Jason Kendrick Howe. As sure as I am to get at least 1 ounce of vagina, I have your number, and you're going down.
2 days
No wonder he never went down, because he never got
he
Gina.
celebrated the apparent fall of AD. In reality, the website was experiencing frequent outages and slow load times due to the increased site popularity.
Ladies and gentlemen on the internet,
The exact opposite.
I am pleased to announce that the Encyclopedia Jamaica, not only the web page, but the whole freaking website's going down. And to make sure it definitely goes down and stays down, do not donate any money to that web page, to that website. Especially if you want to see the more adventures of Sancho that I am conjuring up in my mind and drawing up.
Like a
As a
god.
reward for all the hard work his fandom had put in, he previewed unfinished drawings of a joke referencing the cartoon series Family Guy to be featured in Sonichu issue 7.
Hell no.
Just for the sketch, just like the Family Guy show.
Family Guy's gonna be in
Let's
that
go,
bitch.
Ghostbusters! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go, Ghostbusters! Let's go!
He also inserted references to the 1986 Filmation animated series Ghostbusters, unrelated to the Columbia Pictures movie franchise, nor its subsequent animated adaptation, The Real Ghostbusters.
Oh, my aching axles!
Through some email
Family
exchanges,
Guy
Chris
and-
found an acquaintance in Robert Simmons V, who was in fact an anti-troll who gained Chris's trust by supporting his actions and creating a persona that possessed similar personality traits.
He was the first Liquid Chris.
Resorted to filming videos announcing his support for Chris and his love for Sonichu, all while touting a yellow-colored Sonic necklace.
Good evening, citizens of YouTube. I must be quiet, because it's at night. I don't want to wake up my parents, so please forgive me for not talking loud, and I hope all you can hear me.
In an email dated August 12th, Chris confided in Robert and confessed his adoration for Meg Griffin from Family Guy. She is not ugly. She has always been a beautiful catch in my eyes. I just do not understand how anyone would see Megan as ugly, and I feel it is very pitiful that Seth MacFarlane would make her the punching bag of most everyone else on the show.
He sees
when
himself
clearly
in
she does
Meg.
not deserve such torturous punishment. I am in the same boat as she is, if you think about it. I'm the punching bag of the jerks on ED who are getting their heinous lulz, a rehash of lol, meaning laugh out loud.
Yes,
but in
we
my
get
opinion,
it.
lulz means laughs under lucrisities, which is obviously not good. He also
What?
admitted Robert into his elite list of men whom he does not hate. 3 days later, he recorded and uploaded another video addressed to his supposed fan base, conceding that Encyclopedia Dramatica has not fallen.
This is an official update to all the loyal Sonichu fans on the internet and everywhere else. Well, first off, while the Encyclopedia Dramatica page, the whole website, they did manage to get their ill-gotten money, but I say, screw them. In the air! So anyway,
He addresses the scheme Trolls had to steal his Sonichu medallion.
I have been
Those
hearing
foul fiends.
the rumor of the medallion stealing. As you can see, it's still on me, man. Ain't nobody gonna get it off me, cause more security measures have been taken. This one might be the real one, this one might be the false one. How are you to know? That's to your own understanding.
Who do you
Chris
think is
implores
gonna
his fans to
steal
contact
this?
Nintendo and Sega about producing Sonichu-related merchandise.
What you can do to see all this in fruition and officially approved distribution, you go to Nintendo.com. If you have an account, or if you don't have an account, you get yourself signed up for free. Talk about Sonichu. Build up more hype in their forums everywhere. Send them emails requesting that they bring them to fruition. They talk to me personally about bringing all that to fruition.
Because he has it copyrighted.
Send them the emails, handwritten letters to their official building in Seattle, Washington. Let Nintendo and Sega know about the hype. Send them your personal requests and everywhere. Tell them to talk to me. They both, Nintendo
god
of America
of
and
Sonichu.
Sega of America, they know my address and my phone number. They have it in their systems. So talk to them, have them talk to me. Bring the Sonichu idea to fruition. And there's the update for now. Thank you for listening.
His ambitious plans activated the imagination of one J.K. Productions, who launched their own blog documenting the supposed development of their own Sonichu the game. Chris gave them his full support, unknowingly endorsing an elaborate ruse, with JK being a common acronym for just kidding. On August 18th, Bob wrote a letter for Chris. In stark contrast to the one he had written during Christian's early childhood, this was much more brief, but nevertheless, still hopeful and optimistic about Chris's future. Dear Christian, at this time in life, you and Sonichu need a quest and purpose in life. Let Sonichu become a champion for autistic persons everywhere and continually defeat the perils of autism. Sonichu could become the spokesperson for autistic persons with an ongoing fight for them in chapter after chapter, or good deeds on the internet. He could become the spokesperson from now on. You and Sonichu could become famous worldwide. On August 19th, a three-member group created an online female persona by the name of Blanca Weiss, whose name was derived from the Spanish and German words for white. According to her story, she was working on her own comic book and created her own character called Jigglyami, a singing Pokemon based on Jigglypuff. She relayed this information to Christian via email and encouraged him to have her featured in a future Sonichu issue. Chris was beyond impressed with her and later made a full-body colored drawing of Jigglyami, which he wanted to send to her home address, but she declined. In order to gain her trust, Christian talked about himself, copying and pasting large sections from his various social media accounts. In return, the troll sent him this photograph as evidence of the veracity of her character, and talked more about her backstory. Chris admitted that she was growing on him. By the next day, he was already working on a scene in the comic starring Jigglyami. Blanca retorted with the lyrics for a song meant to be performed by Jigglyami. He let her know that he was almost finished Sonichu issue 7, and that he would feature Blanca and Robert Simmons in special interview segments. Chris mentioned that he helped Robert overcome some problems regarding his own love quest, such as abandoning the idea of an attraction sign.
With his own love
I later
quest.
realized that a sign made me
We're on a love
so I stopped
quest.
long time ago. I suggested that he try to put himself in the center of an open area and try some Axe body spray, he stated, under the
It's way
impression
better
that
than a
Axe body
shower.
spray would have the same result as is demonstrated in their infamous ad campaign. The only thing about him that I feel different about, his version of my medallion. I don't know how to describe the way I feel about it, but from looking at it, I'm like, oh yeah, or oh my god. I think you can understand, but please do not tell him that I said that. Sonichu issue 7 picks up where issue 6 left off, with Chris and Megan on the basketball court, chatting with Bionic, who thanks Megan for setting him up with Magaji. Magaji's displays of affection almost bring Christian to tears, because it reminds him of his loneliness and virginity, but is comforted by Megan.
Everything reminds me of my
and
virginity.
Sonichu about pinpointing the location of the Sonichu balls, which by now are being referred to as Sonichu crystals, due to numerous comments made by trolls highlighting the homoerotic nuance of the term balls. The
homoerotic
crystals are yet to be revealed. They determined that one crystal might have been lost in the past, and if they found the one who touched it last, they would know where to find it. Magi-chan realizes that at the exact instance when Chris thought up Bionic the Hedgehog in 1996, he was hit in the head by what he thought was a basketball, but it was actually a Sonichu crystal. Christian rapidly transitions into a Family Guy-style sketch and gives Seth MacFarlane full permission to implement this idea in a future episode of Family Guy.
You could totally put this in a future episode of Family Guy. I'm putting you on.
Chris, stylized as Family Guy's Peter Griffin, is incorporated into the setting of Filmation's Ghostbusters cartoon. Ironically, his witty reimagining of himself bears far more resemblance to his actual appearance than his official comic book persona. Magi-chan says that he can bring Chris and Sonichu back to 1996,
Ironically,
the crystal, so he encapsulates the three into a time sphere that brings them back to Chris's time in Manchester High School. Current-day Chris happens upon 14-year-old Chris, who has a conversation with Joseph Herring, depicted as having an acne-ridden face, despite all known photos showing him clear-skinned and handsome.
Like, why do you
Chris is
hate
hit in
this
the head by
man?
the crystal, and Sonichu discreetly catches it, avoiding any possible temporal tampering. Beavis and Butthead is also briefly referenced. They proceed to
Beavis and
crystal
Butthead
back
is
to the
also
present day,
previously
but the time sphere
referenced.
abruptly stops, flinging Chris out of it. Magi-chan comes to the conclusion that Chris is lost. Shenhui stopped. The crystal's power made him able to pass through my sphere. The crystals activated like rockets upon his friction from the stop, and he was propelled into the void of time. There is nothing we can do for him right now. All we can do is wait for a time warp to pen, and if I sense his presence at that moment, there is a chance I can go in and retrieve him. The time warp may open at any random time in the future. Christian's self-imposed exclusion from the storyline was in order to satisfy the many people online telling him that the Sonichu comics primarily focused on Chris rather than the eponymous hero. Sonichu informs Rosechu of the situation, stating that he will survive and will be in a sense watching over them like God. They embrace,
watching over them like a god.
In order to defy all claims that he is homosexual.
no.
Meanwhile, in the time void, Chris possibly absorbs the two crystals into his hands, which cause his mind to flood with memories from his recent real-life past, which clash with the thoughts of the comic book Chris, drawing the episode to a close. The comic segues into a special section devoted to the goings-on of the KCWC radio station, hosted by DJ Jamsta Sonichu and his
Jamsta
Lisa
Sonichu.
He interviews Jigliami and her cute manager Blanca. Jigliami is portrayed with a medallion bearing her own likeness around her neck. Lalisa then conducts an in-depth interview with Robert Simmons V, who is said to resemble Chris in many ways. On the day issue 7 was released, Christian finished drawing the cover for the Spring Break Special Issue 8, which he sent to Blanca. For this issue, he changed the name of the comic to Rosechu. Towards the end of August, Evan Christopher George uploaded a Sonichu-related creation which he called Seamanchu, which according to his official biography, was originally a Pikachu that was raised by a swarm of Pokemon called Beedrill. Despite the drills in lieu of hands design bearing resemblance to that of Beedrill, the character's name, red goggles, and drills are derived from seamen as seen in the anime series Gurren Lagann. Evan decided to email his creation to Chris in the hopes of being included in a future issue of Sonichu. However, Chris rejected the idea, instead adapting the character into a new ground bug-type female creation called Simonla Rosechu.
Simonla Rosechu.
For infrared eyelids and his
He stole it.
2 days later, Christian uploaded a video describing his role in the development of the Sonichu video game by JK Productions, still under the impression that it was a legitimate organization.
Alright, well, first off, I am going to give y'all some talk as suggested by my associates who are in on the Sonichu game that's in development. I'm still thinking about the story very much. It's like a big chunk of the stories in my head. It's gonna be like multiple stories, like we'll go through multiple.
It's like you can hardly speak. What makes you think that I believe that you're gonna deliver a story to me?
Characters, all the original Sonichu and Rosechu hedgehogs. Once we get the game project off the ground, hopefully with the assistance of Nintendo of America and Sega of America, there will definitely be the release of the official Sonichu merchandise, including officially released and distributed, manufactured medallions for one thing. Copies of my CWC on TV DVD that you've seen only a few bits of on the YouTube and such, and as well as possible Sonichu action figures.
He mentions that the Sonichu comic will once again be focused on Sonichu, and that Chris will eventually return, only to retire as mayor of Quickville and give himself a smaller role in the story. He then continues to elaborate on the storyline of the game.
And then we go on to Bubbles. Everybody love Bubbles? Bubbles is the bubbly one! Anyway, yeah.
Oh.
She'll get more wet.
What?
All the hedgehogs will go through all the same levels, except variation. Bubbles will mostly be able to swim. Somewhat underwater versions of those levels. And a Jug, she'll be flying high, casting off wing attacks against the enemies in her story.
He reveals that Black Sonichu's name will change, possibly as a response to the backlash he had received due to the racial connotations of the name.
Also, for short, for Black Sonichu with Black Chew.
Black Chew.
for his nickname, as it will be revealed in the upcoming Spring Break issue. Everybody have fun on Spring Break! He will prefer to be called Blake. Simply Blake. Yeah, so anyway, Blake's
Okay.
running around with Bubbles. But
Okay.
Bubbles likes to try to think that she can keep it to herself. Like, she has like, ooh, she turned on by the dark side of the Force. And all the nuttiness that Blake will want to bring with him.
He talks
Oh,
about Blanca
no.
and her involvement in his personal and creative life.
It's nice to know that I actually do have a good gal pal that I made over the internet recently, whose inspired character, she was inspired by me. Her inspired character, I've given my full approval of and introduced in the comic I just uploaded to what is now can also be considered to be sideshoe.net. Nothing but net. Screw your com, I got the net. Yeah. And she herself is the original character of the new bubblegum pop star, Jiggly Yummy. Jiggly Yummy.
He's so delusionally unhinged.
Yeah. So, like, it's possible she and I might actually meet in the future, but
What?
I don't have any future plans as of this point, but I think I'll feel better with my future set when I have my sweetheart.
His heart's
So, thank you very much, every one of you, for your patronage.
sweet.
And I hope you all have a pleasant day.
Christian's newfound infamy brought him much stress and hardship, with him hardly being able to cope with the constant barrage of trolling, getting ever more challenging to discern what was false and what was true, what was an advice and what was an insult. But he still had his principles, his dreams and ambitions, to see himself through the most trying period of his life.
It's only going downhill from here. I'm gonna read the comments. I'm gonna end it at that. Hence theorizing that Chris wanted to impregnate his mother. Epic foreshadowing. That's what I said. Chris's life is truly a Greek tragedy. Oh yeah, I've seen that one before. I hate how the one woman who didn't turn him down was actually interested in meeting him was turned down because she had a child, but honestly, she dodged a missile. Someone describing their biological children as blood, tears, and seminal descent is the worst thing I've ever heard. What the fuck is the most... What fucks me up the most is poor Megan. She was probably one of the best friends Chris could ever ask for, but he only could saw her as a sex object. She was so patient and kind to someone who didn't even see her as a human being. Even her emails ending the friendship was so kind despite everything he did to her. For real though, she gave him too much patience. Chris uploads his own life encyclopedia dramatica, gets himself banned from the gameplays for being racist and an asshole, degrades his only friend, gets himself banned from campus for being creepy. Chris, why would the trolls do this to me? It's crazy how many of Chris' worst moments start with the words, in an effort to prove his heterosexuality. That's one of the best ones. Can we take a minute to realize how Bob had a better understanding of what would make a competent and lovable Sanju better than Chris did? Incredible. I like how Chris is just casually trying to groom teens, but he's so far gone, nobody even seems to care anymore. Oh no. Chris making a Peter-like, Griffin-like character that ended up looking more like him than an actual Peter is too funny for me to comprehend. I don't think anything in this world will make me laugh as hard as Chris naming a sex doll officer nasty. Chris has a capacity for such poetic writing and wide vocabulary, but uses phrases like boyfriend-free girl and the infinitely high boyfriend factor. Oh no. Sometimes I forget that Chris is a real person. Oh no, man, all this song is ridiculous. That part where he says he draws NSW to stop himself from doing something horrible. Oh my god, yeah. Man. Everyone talking about the crazy incest before shadowing, but can we acknowledge that Megan probably has a family now? She cut him off early and moved on. That is true. I mean, does she have a family? Oh, she's 22 now? What the fuck? She's late 30s at the bare minimum. Oh, yeah. Well, shit, we're gonna end it at this. If you like this video, give me a like, give me a subscribe, and I'll see y'all later.